Parks and Recreation is undoubtedly one of the most beloved sitcoms of the 2010s. Originally pitched as a direct spin-off to The Office, the show was helmed by Michael Schur and Greg Daniels and was soon transformed into a separate but similar workplace comedy following the life of public servant Leslie Knope as she strived to make life better for the residents of her small town in Pawnee, Indiana. It did get off to a rocky start, but thanks to a largely retconned second season, which would also complete the main ensemble, Parks found its footing and from week to week became an incredibly funny, kind and hopeful piece of television. And at the heart of it all, we got to see one of the most rewarding platonic relationships in sitcom history develop, subsequently resulting in the most impactful episode of the entire series. So, let's talk about Leslie and Ron. When we first meet Leslie, she's the good-willed, passionate deputy director of the Parks Department, a dedicated public servant. Ron Swanson, her boss, in contrast, is completely against government, intending to burn it to the ground from the inside out. He has absolutely no regard for government work, happier when his department accomplished nothing, and is constantly left in disdain by Leslie's bombarding enthusiasm. And throughout the series, neither really changes. Granted, after season 2's retcon, Leslie is toned down quite a lot and becomes altogether much more likeable, but their ideals never shift, and despite this, the pair still manage to forge a wonderful friendship that we, as viewers, have the pleasure of watching unfold. Now, there are a multitude of moments between Leslie and Ron that I could talk about, but in the interest of keeping this video relatively short, I want to focus on two in particular. The first comes in the season 2 episode, Galentine's Day, when Leslie can't figure out why the seemingly great guy she's dating just doesn't seem right for her, until Ron explains why.
He's a tourist. He vacations in people's lives, takes pictures, puts them in his scrapbook, and moves on. All he's interested in are stories.
Huh.
Basically, Leslie, he's selfish. And you're not, and that's why you don't like him.
The second example is in season 3's Eagleton, when, after a lot of investigation, Leslie finds out Ron's birthday and announces she has a surprise in store. Ron then spends the entire episode dreading an outlandish birthday surprise after quizzing Anne about what her birthday was like last year, only to be met with something entirely different at the end of the day.
Happy birthday, Ron.
Anne said you had a big party. Sombreros, karaoke.
I did that for Anne. Why would I throw Ron Swanson an Ann Perkins party?
What about the giant list of things April was doing?
That was just a list of ways to mess with you. She do them all?
She did indeed.
So, I have rented Bridge on the River Kwai and the Dirty Dozen. Artie from security is outside the door, so no one will bother you. And a cab will be here whenever you're ready to take you home.
Thank you.
These early instances do a fantastic job of cementing the fondness the pair have for each other, and as the series goes on, the shift from respectable colleagues to close friends that's evident within these moments is so rewarding. Seeing Ron go from barely tolerating Leslie in the first season to proudly walking her down the aisle in season 5 is nothing short of heartwarming, and that's precisely why it's so painful to see it all fall apart, even if only for a short while. Leslie and Ron is the 4th episode of season 7. At the very end of season 6, Leslie accepts a new job at the National Parks Association under the condition that they can operate out of an office in Pawnee instead of relocating to Chicago. Obviously, this is great, because the gang will stay together. That is, aside from Leslie and Ron, who we surprisingly discover are no longer talking. In fact, they seem to hate each other, something that cleverly harks back to an early season 2 conversation. This ongoing feud, dubbed only as Project Morningstar, has evidently been dragging on for quite some time, until the rest of the group eventually snap and lock the pair in the parks office overnight, demanding that they talk things out. It's a striking contrast to the typical full ensemble formula of the show. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, when asked how the episode came about, Michael Schur stated that it was one of the first ideas for the season. We're doing this little arc where Leslie and Ron have a falling out, and one of the first ideas we had for that was to do an entire episode that's like a 2-person play. Their relationship has always been the center of the show in many ways. To put them both in a room and let them talk to each other, that was as simple as the idea was. And away from the hectic work antics that fuel most episodes, it is simple, just a slow conversation between two reluctant friends, and that's what makes it so powerful. Project Morningstar is revealed to have been a development project Ron took on that resulted in the demolition of Anne's old house. Even though she left Pawnee 5 years ago, given how overly sentimental Leslie is, and that the house was essentially where everything began, I mean, Andy falling into the pit was literally the catalyst for the entire show. Her anger is understandable, but then we hear Ron's side of the story, and it's heartbreaking.
You left. And then a month later, you took Terry with you.
Yeah, well, we needed a mindless factotum, and he's the best there is.
Amen. Then you took April. I didn't want her to go, as she had become one of my closest workplace acquaintances. But your offer was too good to pass up, so I didn't try to stop her. Then Tom left to run his business, Donna left to run hers. One day I looked up, just didn't recognize anyone. So I made a decision. An unthinkable decision.
Hey! Well, my, do my eyes deceive me? Is that Ron Swanson?
Hello, Leslie. Hello, April. Larry?
It's Terry now.
Okay. As luck would have it.
Oh, did you talk to Randy about the vote? Tell the Northeast that we need to put pressure on them or else we're going to be waiting forever, and I'm tired of waiting on them, okay? Sorry, this is a crazy day. So, what's up with you big lug?
Nothing important. Just thought you might want to have lunch. Tomorrow?
I would love to. It's been too long. JJ's Diner, 12:30.
Excellent. See you then.
Okay.
So, Randy says the House is voting tomorrow and they need us in Washington to prep.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Okay, get us the first flight out of here and grab the Missouri files. Meet me at my car. Hey, babe, I gotta go to Washington. Can you pick up the kids? Oh no. Ron, I stood you up for lunch.
You did, yes. I waited for a while, but it was pretty easy to figure out what had happened. Your life seemed pretty hectic.
Is that the rest of the story? That I stood you up? You were going to ask me something. That's why you wanted to have lunch. Ron, you were going...
I was going to ask you for a job. In the federal government. Just saying it out loud feels dirty.
You missed your friends. And you wanted to come up to the 3rd floor and work with us again. I can't even imagine how hard that must have been for you.
The vulnerability and emotion displayed here is incredible. Seeing a lonely Ron, someone who's usually so closed off and reluctant for connection, defeated and just desperate to be reunited with his friends, is gut-wrenching. As is seeing Leslie's change in demeanor when she realizes why he came to see her and just how difficult it must have been. It's an outstanding piece of television and a true testament to both the writers and Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler's acting talents and chemistry. The slower pace, intimate setting, and emotional weight make this episode unique, but there's still room for some classic Parks comedy. Leslie ridiculously singing along to We Didn't Start the Fire in an attempt to make Ron talk is golden. And the revelation about Ron's coveted landmine is one of the best jokes of the season.
I'm being held as a prisoner against my will, and I have the right as a citizen of the United States to blow a hole in that door and walk out as a free man. It's in the Constitution.
There's no cursing in the Constitution. Look, before you do that...
Too late. Here we go. Fire in the hole!
Woo! I gave you that as a gift on your 5th anniversary as Parks Director.
You told me this was a genuine, partially diffused Claymore mine.
Well, it was. I bought the empty shell off of eBay and then I filled it with, balloons and confetti and such.
You mean to tell me I have had a toy on my desk for 10 years?
You mean to tell me you thought you've had an actual landmine on your desk? Congratulations, Ron. You've been doing an explosive job.
To break it down, Leslie and Ron just highlights everything that makes this show special. It shows how far these characters have come together. It's Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler delivering what should have been award-winning performances. It's a heavy, intense conversation between two friends that ends in a satisfying resolution. And that's why I believe Leslie and Ron is truly at the heart of Parks and Recreation.